Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Such are the times that rather than meet in person and mingle and network in between panels, we are forced into meeting virtually. Many thanks to CWC for organising this event. When discussing this event, we discussed and ultimately decided that rather than do another oil and gas conference, that much in line with my government strategy on the economy, that we should do a more broad and diversified economic forum. The diversification of our economy is a top priority. And while oil and gas will be a primary pillar of our economy, we have learned the hard way that it must not be the only one. I fondly remember addressing this distinguished forum in 2015 and 2016. I remember then outlining some of our priorities, and I also remember discussing the many challenges that we faced at the time. ISIS, a huge refugee and IDP migration to Kurdistan, global drop in oil prices, and a high deficit. Well, fast forward 5 years and we face different challenges, but ones that have had similar impacts on our economy. The global health pandemic, as we have all seen, has had a devastating impact on the global economy and on the price of oil. In our case, as in much of the world, it has severely impacted trade, movement, and industry. So as we seek to diversify from oil and focus on industrial development, on agriculture, on agro-industries, and as well as tourism, well, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that in this global, regional, and local climate, such plans face huge challenges. But we are from Kurdistan, and we don't like to do things the easy way. We are stubborn, sometimes to our detriment, and we are resilient. Just as how we were able to absorb the multiple shocks to our economy between 2014 and 2017, we are absorbing the shocks to our economy today. We are forging ahead on our economic reforms. Agriculture, a long-touted potential pillar of our economy, is at the forefront of our economic development. We have taken some bold steps to lessen our farmers' dependence on our government by encouraging the private sector to have a much greater role in our agricultural development. Rather than rely on Baghdad to acquire Kurdish wheat and then not pay for it, we have recently partnered with the private sector to bring local wheat directly to our market. This initiative not only guarantees farmers returns on their products, it will provide thousands of jobs and fill not just Kurdistan's markets, but our bigger market, Iraq, and the regions with Kurdish wheat and wheat byproducts. We have also prioritized, as part of our recently launched investment roadmap, numerous investment opportunities in the areas of agro-industries and industrial growth. These will all contribute to a healthier economy, more jobs, and greater food security. Very soon, we will lay the foundation stone for a sugar factory, again creating many more jobs and increasing domestic production. After many years of planning and discussion, we are finally moving towards privatization of power distribution in Kurdistan. For years, power has been generated by the private sector. Now we are privatizing the distribution of power. This will lead to more power direct to the homes with less waste, with more robust controls in monitoring and in collection services. Despite the fiscal challenges we face, we are continuing to improve our road network. Significant capital expenditure in new roads and in maintenance of existing road network will ensure a better road network and infrastructure that will support better trade east, west, south, and north of us. All these and many more steps are being done with a mindset that we as a government cannot face our challenges alone. Our job is to best serve our public, and that means we must create an environment to let the private sector do what they are good at. And while we strongly believe that the driver of economic diversification and a stronger economy is the private sector, we know that we must improve government performance and efficiency as well. To that end, we are fast-tracking our administrative reforms. We have passed a major reform bill that eliminates waste and abuse in the public sector. Building on phase 1 of our biometric registration program, where every wage earner was enrolled, we are using that data to right-size our government and ensure that only people who need to be employed are. So far, we have eliminated 16,500 people who have illegally been receiving more than one salary. We expect that there are many more ghost employees who may be registered as government employees but who are in fact not working, so we will eliminate such wasteful spending. Furthermore, we are, with the support of the United Kingdom, the US, Germany and the Netherlands, enacting major reforms of our defence forces, the Peshmerga. This restructuring will lead to a more streamlined and effective force and a less costly one to administer. We will soon be debating a new pension reform bill that will create better incentives for those who work in the private sector. We are also updating how our government operates and communicates internally. We are in the process of digitising our government, of streamlining government services, reducing bureaucracy and closing the door on the petty corruption that has crippled our growth. We have mapped every service our government provides to the public to include the private sector, and we have tasked every ministry to ensure that every service is delivered faster, easier and cheaper. Once that goal is achieved, we will start to deliver some of these services online, all in good time. Company registration is a key service that is being restructured. We are putting in place new guidelines and new legislation if required to streamline company registration so that you can set up a company in 24 hours. Currently, it takes 26 days. We are also decentralizing authority to the provinces and to the districts and to the sub-district level, empowering local authorities to expedite and improve government performance throughout all of the Kurdistan region. But while we are forging ahead on all of these fronts, we realize that we are not on an island. Oh, how I wish we were sometimes, but we are not. Not only are we landlocked, but we are also part of Iraq. So resolving our outstanding disputes with Baghdad remains another top priority. In December 2019, we reached a milestone agreement with the Iraqi government, but regrettably, the pressures on the government to resign for their awful handling of the public demonstrations were too great, and thus the government collapsed and the deal was never sent to Parliament. In the summer of 2020, we reached another temporary agreement with Baghdad that was intended to be a stopgap deal until a new budget law is passed. Unfortunately, the global pandemic and the drop in oil prices has resulted in a massive deficit for the federal government, increased pressure on increasing government spending, and a real lack of political buy-in to the Iraqi finance minister's initiatives are making much needed economic reforms in Baghdad very, very slow. And while we are very disappointed in how Baghdad continues to treat Kurdistan and how they continue to withhold our fiscal entitlements, we are continuing to work with them to reach a deal that is both fair and sustainable. We have expressed our readiness to cooperate on reaching a holistic agreement on oil and gas management. We have reached in the past an agreement and have offered to continue to agree on civilian joint cooperation and management of our borders. We have formally agreed to cooperate and coordinate on addressing our debt issues and auditing all income and expenditures of the past 6 years. Every reasonable and constitutional request put to us has been accepted, so there are no more excuses to continue to withhold the salaries of our civil servants. So in closing, we are once again faced with enormous challenges and therefore need your continued support and partnership. While at the same time, we have a clear vision of what needs to be done. A stronger, more transparent and more efficient government will lead us to a more diversified economy with more opportunities for growth, more jobs and better government performance. We look forward to continuing to partner with you while on this journey. Thank you very much.